Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Lori Lightfoot, and the film you're about to see is entitled Tomorrow's Hope, which takes you on a journey with passionate educators, tenacious children, and their families, all determined to carve out the future despite incredible challenges. The film was created and produced by Saul Zainet's Charitable Foundation. Set here on Chicago's South Side, we reunite with three high school seniors who started out at the Educare Birth to Five school in its very first class. We'll get to know them and their families and explore the lingering impacts of early childhood education and how a child's first 5 years of life are crucial to future success. Educare emerged from its predecessor, the Beethoven Project, located right inside the former Robert Taylor homes. In the film, we also learn about the Ounce of Prevention organization, which started it all. Delving into their experience to learn what it was like to try to provide kids with a solid foundation in an environment that is also extremely dangerous and discouraging. These educators were determined to leverage education as a way out of poverty. These are people who just plain refuse to give up. Quality early childhood education is a community effort. That's what we mean by teaching the whole family. Parents learn to view themselves as advocates for their children during preschool and far beyond. Today, 5.5 million young children live in poverty in America. Less than half of them have access to the early learning programs that could change their lives. That's why it's so vital to take this challenge on. This moving film shines a light on that mission, and our hope is for its future. With that, I hope you enjoy Tomorrow's Hope.
Growing up in a rough neighborhood, just like, majority of us, our mothers on like Section 8. It's kind of hard. I have a message that I want to put out. I'm really committed to, music, telling my story through it.
Challenge of mine is I have Kool-Aid money and champagne taste. I feel like being in Chicago now is way scarier than it was when I was younger.
The violence in Chicago, people from another neighborhood are fighting with another people from the neighborhood. I'm kind of like a loner, but I have the ability to write music and write poetry. It makes me feel better when I can get stuff off my chest.
Educare is a school that provides early childhood education programs, but they're also teaching their parents about different stages of a child's life. Hard to believe?
Yeah,
but it's used to be you. Walking through here creating chaos. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome, huh? Yes, indeed. You tired? Have you had fun today? There you go. Let's see how pretty. Oh, it's beautiful. This is a safe place so the parents can leave and know that their children are here with somebody that cares and loves them and will take care of them like they're their own.
Jackie is like family.
She can see what struggles we go through too, because she probably been through the same thing we've been through.
Robert Taylor Homes, the largest housing project in the Western world.
In the projects, you might have 14, 15 apartments on one floor. So we called it a ramp. My kids were known as ramp kids. And that's where the children would go out and play because I'd never let them go out by themselves. It just wasn't a safe environment. Gang activity all around. You walk into the buildings, they're smelling like urine. You walk into the buildings, you got to say, excuse me to all the gangbangers that are outside. My kids really didn't do a lot of the early childhood education programs. You really did trust more of your relatives. There was not a lot of learning going on, but they were safe. When I came to the ounce, I was not convinced in the importance of early childhood education. I just wasn't.
What type of things do you teach like kids nowadays?
For this age, for me, so from our classroom in particular, it's really important for me for social emotional skills. So how to interact with each other, how to like express themselves. And for me, I think it's more important than the academics. Because when they go out into the real world, they need to know how to talk to people, how to socialize, how to communicate for themselves. And if they don't know how to do that in the setting, then the academics, don't come in and then they struggle in school.
This community was called Grand Boulevard. It still is called Grand Boulevard. And at the time, in the mid and late 80s, it was the poorest census tract in America. We made a commitment. We're going to do whatever it takes to leverage education for these children as a way out of poverty. And we decided that we'd take a subset of those families and children and say, we're going to wrap around a comprehensive birth to 5 educational experience for both children and families so that every child in that community area arrives at kindergarten ready to learn and ready to succeed in school. And we decided that we're going to bring the services where the people are. We planted ourselves inside the same buildings where the families were. We were in Robert Taylor Homes, and at that time, it was the largest public housing development in the country. In those days, how the buildings were constructed is really kind of like a dungeon. You went under the building to get to the elevator, and the elevator was always broken, and you always had to walk up 2 or 3 flights of steps till we were on the 2nd floor. Would open the door, and inevitably, every visitor that came to me would go, they would gasp. Because they would say, oh my God, who would know that the brightness and the welcome environment is here in the middle of this? The colors, the staff, the equipment, the environment, and the culture said, and still says, you matter.
Back in 1991, one of my professors stated, there's a wonderful program that they've launched in the Robert Taylor Housing Development, working with children and families, and I think you'd be interested. And I felt like, wow, this is great. I want to work in the community. I want to work with children and families. That's my passion. As the education coordinator, my job was to go in, observe classrooms, help the teachers provide an environment for children that they would have fun in and they would also learn in. Was kind of struck by all the high activity the children had. It was difficult for them to sit down and listen. The teachers felt they were somewhat out of control and wanted me to help them with that. I noticed that they rarely got outside to play. At that time, there was quite a bit of violence in the community, so the teachers and the administration didn't feel it was safe for the children to go outside. So when it was time for the children to have large motor play, they would come out of the classrooms and they would just ride the bikes kind of up and down the ramp. And so the first thing I said to the teachers were, we need to get them outside. We rented some buses and found a safe playground where we would bus the children to go and play outside, where they could use the swings, run around, ride bikes. The behavior of the children changed drastically. They were able to attend, listen to a story. They were able to sleep during nap time. This was you learning while you were playing and didn't know you were learning. But you know, they're learning. They look like they're playing, but they're actually learning.
Was it bigger? I think it was bigger.
It wasn't bigger. It just felt so big because you were so little.
At Educare, for some reason, I feel like the sun looked different. Maybe it's my eyesight, but I felt like the sun just really looked different. I like being outside when it was hot outside. I like gathering friends and we just go do whatever.
Just being there is fun. Just to like play on the blocks, like acting like it was drums, and we'd just play all the time.
We could just be ourselves and paint whatever we wanted to. Starting young with arts and crafts and stuff, it builds character.
Educare was a place that taught him a lot about how to get along with others his own age and community.
We learned that it's important for children to be in the moment, in the play, enjoying themselves. They talk about when they leave here to their parents. They talk about who they sit with at the lunch table. They talk about who made them mad, who made them happy. Learning about being in a group and what that means. Quite a success. Can you imagine that? Yeah. It's hard for me to imagine it, Jamal. Standing there looking at me like this when you used to come in and go, I'm getting taller. Standing next to me.
What scares me most about going away to school is that my sisters, they're grown. They live by themselves. I can't depend on them to go to the house and check up on my mother. First and foremost, we live together, alone. I make sure that the house is decent and presentable. I mean, of course she can take care of herself. It's just the affection that I'm there and I actually care and I'm doing it. I know of my dad, but I don't know him. Like, I know he's alive, and I know if I call him, he'll probably answer, but I don't really know him on a emotional level as someone should know their child. So my support system is really with the women in my immediate family.
We know that parents are critical factors in helping to learn and succeed, and we will not give up on that.
I went in thinking I was going to help with the academics, help children learn ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, reading, all of that. What I was not prepared for was to go into a school and to learn about the importance of getting to know a family for who the family was. We didn't take families as a group. We looked at each one of the families as an individual, a human being who had their own hopes, had their own dreams.
When Jamal started, he was 18 months. I'm like, wow, this is actually engaging not only the students, but the parents as well into how to be with your child at home.
We work hard to create those relationships, to seek out parents that are kind of hesitant. We pull them closer. I think parents expect if I'm hard and if I'm mean, they'll leave me alone. But we don't leave them alone. We keep going and we'll call and say, how are you doing? Even if it's a short, how are you doing? Can you come to this wonderful training we're having or meeting? And the parent says, no, okay, click. Then we try next week and call. We're just kind of hanging in there with them until something clicks.
Your best chance of any educational intervention lasting sustaining itself is to invest in the parent. If you teach the parent to nurture that, it will last.
Music is everywhere with us. No matter what side of the family, they both like musically inclined. So it was like I couldn't get no way from music.
I would always tell his dad, put him in a drum line, let him beat the drums. And he's like, nah, he's not ready yet. Nah, he's not ready yet. When Jamal turned 10, that's when he started playing with his dad.
I started to get to know more of what my dad do. I know I was a shy kid. I didn't really get open until like I'll be around more people. Educare, I think it gave a pathway to how, I operate now. And like it opened one door after another as I got older.
It was a place of hope, a place of peace, a place of joy, a place of learning, and a place of trust and respect. It was a stark contrast at that time, given what was happening outside. Things got so difficult, and nobody knew about it. I mean, this happened in America. Even in the worst of violence, we opened our doors, and we were there for every day that was possible to be there. And while we were figuring out what we could do better, the city decided it would do a transformation.
The plan is to replace all of Chicago's projects with beautiful new mixed income developments. So what do you get when you take the country's most disadvantaged families, add in some young professionals, and build them a brand new neighborhood? The experiment is already underway.
I think they called it Transformation Initiative.
There were mixed feelings about the buildings coming down. Families were really happy and felt it was needed, it was necessary. It was too violent and the buildings were terrible. But on the other hand, they weren't sure about their future. For some families, generations of where they had lived. And Chicago Housing Development tried to alleviate some of those fears by saying to the families, we're going to make sure you have a place to stay until we rebuild.
The city had to displace all of the families that we just announced we were going to serve. And literally every day, families had to come out of their homes and they would see a bulldozer marching down the street, demolishing building by building by building. Children and their families had to live with that every day. We had to find another place to be. It threw the community into such uncertainty and instilled a level of fear that was almost touchable. You could feel it, smell it in the air. We, meaning the Ounce of Prevention Fund, had to make a decision about our commitment. Were we committed in good times? Now that things were changing, and we decided, no, we're in here for the long haul. We stayed. We were the last organization standing. It was very important to us, since so many institutions were abandoning these families, that the families knew that we may have to move because the bulldozer is coming, but we have not abandoned our commitment to you.
This how college gonna be. Yes, it is. It's gonna be worse.
I'm gonna call you every day.
She has been talking about college since 3rd grade. And I'm like, how you know where you going? Like, you only in 3rd grade.
They don't want me to go far. They don't want me to go far at all. They want me to stay close to them, like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for her. So excited for her.
Probably getting ready to leave the nest. So 4 years is like I'm with my mom all the time. I'm learning stuff. I'm with my dad all the time. And then now I'll be going off to college and they won't be there every day and telling me what not to do. My dad always worked on resumes with me since like my freshman year. So he prepared me well with that to go to college and to get a job and make sure I'm straight and stable.
I think we co-parent well. We do our thing. Special gratitude to her mom and Lennard. They take care of the spots when I'm not available, when I'm not here. But all in all, just really proud of her.
For me, wigs is just like a new look every day. I don't care how people perceive me. I just like what I can do with it. I would want to meet the person I'm giving my wig to. I want to know the type of person you are. I would hate for somebody to sit down in my chair and tell me who they don't like. I will not tolerate any disrespect to the LGBT community. My mom is gay. I think I was like 8 or 7, however old I was, when I found out she was gay. And I found out that her and my dad were separated way before I found out that she was gay. When I saw her kissing a woman, I didn't say anything because young age, like I didn't know what to say. I'm just gonna wait for her to tell me. When she did, I played it off and I was just like, you for real? And she's like, how do you feel about that? If being with a woman makes you feel good inside or outside and have those butterflies, then I'm all for it.
I began to realize I do matter and how I want to live my life with the same sex. That's when shit went down the hill. He figured like he don't have to help and he still won't help.
My mom has really instilled in me about just being myself and doing what I have to do to get where I need to be.
Everything that's in me, I gave to her. Like she would get it on the streets. That's how she get it up in here. This is the real world. The one thing that I'll tell her, just always listen to your heart. You got this.
The city and the powers that be were marching down the street, blowing up buildings. This was what I call Forgotonia. This was a place that existed that nobody knew about. The social services and the vital fabric and infrastructure of this community began to leave because they said it was too dangerous. Everybody left except the Ounce of Prevention Fund. There were so many naysayers that said, you can't do it here, it can't be done. I said, I know I come from where these children are. I know it can be done. We have to find the right pathway. And then out of the ashes from across the street, Educare came up out of this ground.
We built the school, we kind of stood at the door hoping, and the doors busted open and the families came in. It was a relief.
The families in communities like Grand Boulevard have had so many broken promises. They walked around, and some of them may have said it, but I think they thought this. I can't believe you came through. I can't believe that this is for me and my children.
Educare, let him know that we're created because we have gifts. We have talents. A lot of people have talents. They just haven't tapped into them. And so to constantly have that guidance and that push, that's the village. The village everybody talks about takes a village to raise a child. It really does take a village. In the community, the village is broken.
keep it secret. I know she gonna crack down. She will be you.
With all the violence in Chicago and him being now an 18-year-old male, it worries me, but I know that he has so many opportunities that he can take advantage of.
This is a picture from Educare when I was 3. I was always like pretty much happy, good. And then when it got to high school, it was such a big change that I ultimately got like depressed. I'm pretty much the only one of my sisters that grew up without their dad in the home. When they separated, I think I was like 7 or 8, but the divorce wasn't final till I was like 11.
I was married and I have 2 other children. He was there with them 2, and he was not there with her. And he refuses to be there.
I blamed myself for a long time. That was just strictly because of them separating, and I thought it was my fault. I'm like, well, maybe if I'm not here, then, they'll be just better off.
I took her to the hospital, and then they said that she had to be in a mental health facility and stuff. And then once I walked her to the door, they closed the door and I couldn't see her no more. So it was just frustrating for me because them people, I had to get the help for her, and then they just took her. As I started doing group sessions and stuff with her, I had to forget what I know about her and learn her from this point on, that this is who she is, and we had to meet this new person all over again.
It's my brother and my niece. It's my brother getting killed. That was the first time I've seen somebody laying down on the ground like that.
He called me at 1, like 1 in the morning, and said, "Ma, can you pick me up at the bus station at 6?" Of course, Mommy picked him up from the bus station at 6. And that was the last time I saw him.
Big brother, can you spell that? For me, I can't. I'm numb. I'm heartless. Sometimes I'm nice, sometimes I'm mean, regardless. April, what does it mean? 1 leg down, 2 bullets in between. New year, new bro. The 9th of that month, I just couldn't let you go. My ears rang, and I ran out that door. When I got to you, I couldn't scream no more. You laying there lifeless. I didn't know what to say. I just knew on that day my pain wouldn't go away. Now I have to fight, not physically, but mentally. I have to focus. I have to continue your legacy. If not now, I will show your worth if it takes everything within me.
A lot of people don't want their kids to come back. When kids go to college and come back here, they end up catching a bullet.
I have seen people get shot right in front of me. I've seen, people get stabbed right in front of me.
No parent should have to bury their child. Usually it's the other way around, but talking about Chicago.
That's a broken system. Everybody knows somebody. Did y'all see who got killed on the news last night? It's like it's normal conversation, and I don't want it to be normal to me. That's not normal for this child to grow up and say, "Did y'all hear?" In 1 week, she know 3 people that got killed. That's not normal. That's just lunacy.
A lot of kids out here that are being raised by the streets. I've heard so many stories about parents
calling their kids all type of names, saying they'll never amount to anything. And then they get out here with these gangs that show them what a family should be like. And they embrace that. And then next thing you know, hey, you need to go over there and hit that, to show us that you love us. And then they go do, and that's why they're doing it, because they want to prove their love to their gang. They don't have anybody to talk to say, you know what, this is not the way to go.
So you guys are going to be the front row, which will be good. So, as you're standing out there, Jalen, there's a lot of people in the room, but you can look straight down and you can see your family. Jackie's going to be sitting at that table as well.
It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Miss Jalen Rayford, a former Educare graduate and high school senior. Jalen's ultimate goal is to be a pediatrician. Welcome, Jalen.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thank God and Miss Jackie for giving me this opportunity to speak today. I just want to say that Miss Jackie and the rest of the Ounce team has helped me tremendously throughout my years beyond daycare. I have learned to be a team player, to be creative, to be strong, to be independent, and always be myself. Throughout high school, I was faced with multiple tragedies, with the death of my sister and the death of my brother.
My son being gone has changed her, but it pushed her with that change.
And I am happy to announce that I will further my education in the medical field. If it wasn't for the Ounce family, I wouldn't have as many opportunities as I do now. They taught me to never give up, and that's exactly what I did. I never gave up. Thank you.
I was lost for words. 850 people, I couldn't have done that. Like, I was nervous and I was sitting in the audience. And she just did it like it was nothing. Like, she's been doing this for a long time.
My mind is very strong when it comes to like what I want to do and what shouldn't I do. So
This music that you want to do, I believe you're going to make it. And your music may be able to help somebody else. You see what I'm saying? But it's going to be some more little kids looking at you and saying, I want to be like Jamal. I want these kids to not have to experience some of the things that my kids did have to experience. But maybe I do look at it as a second chance. I've asked myself that before too. I will not stop fighting for change and justice. This is bigger than me. It's bigger than my family. This is about a way of the world.
Here it is, fast forward 18, 20 years later, and there is nothing here. I hate to say this, but the families may have been right about this. They were suspicious in the beginning that it was not going to happen.
For some families, they may be living in homes and in apartments that they really like, and it's better. And maybe for some, it isn't better. Even though they were told that this would turn into housing for them. I don't know why that did not happen. And now families have to make a better plan and a better future for their families.
It warms my heart today because it was such an anxious time. I have never seen so many thousands of families disappear, what seemed like overnight. And we opened up here. We had people, families, who were coming all the way like 20 miles on a train. Educare is built upon very hard lessons learned from being in a community that was under assault by every element that you could think of, but the families were not hopeless.
And now they want to give back and help other families and share their experiences. It's just so rewarding to be in their midst.
It is so awesome to see you all. You all look amazing. My little people are not little people anymore. For those of you who might remember, I used to cry at our transition events. I'm going to try really hard not to cry when I see these beautiful young people.
My mom that know me, like she been know me like I don't know, like a backpack carrying. So it's like she my number one support.
I'm very, very proud to say that I have overcome depression and I want to be a psychiatrist. Black communities, they do not target mental health enough. So I would definitely come back to Chicago to help my city and my people. My mom, she's really been a big support, and that has been making sure that it gets done. But I also want to say my dad so much as not being there just made me want to strive for more and then throw it in his face and be like, oh yeah, I did this and it was without you.
It's close to graduation, so I'm very excited to be going off to college, trying new things and meeting new people.
What's he doing? What is that? Looking forward to going to college, but for music engineering.
Putting together his pre-prom send-off, what I noticed over the past 3 weeks was a significant amount of policing in the neighborhood. And so I'm like, you know what? It'll probably be safe now to go out on the front. We were going to send him off to prom that day, that way, regardless.
I'm trying to be gentle.
Firstborn, so first to leave.
Prom day. Unforgettable moment. You on your way.
I am excited because it's like 4 years of doing the work and hard work.
Let's go!
Today is not an end point, but a turning point.
I felt like a whirlwind of emotions. What started playing back was everything it took to get to this point. Everything just kind of played into that moment.
I've been waiting for it for so long that I just don't see it going wrong. I know myself, but I want to know what I can and can't deal with, who I should and shouldn't be around. I just want to get to know me more.
I'm looking forward to seeing the other 4 years. You know, I'm looking forward to that.
It's unlimited what I want for her. I want her to run the world if she can, because she got it in her. It's the women's time to shine. This is the future here.
I wish that my children did a little bit more with their lives, but I learned to forgive me, and I decided that I did the best that I could. The past is only to be glanced at. It's not to stay in, because you cannot live in the past. You can't go back, but you got now. But I feel like a proud mama.
Crystal Lane
If Jackie was sitting right here, I would probably tell her thank you first, because daycare is where you start. That's the start of everything. So if you're starting the right way, then you can finish the right way. And as you can see, I'm finishing the right way.
The changes aren't being made fast enough for the families that continue to come through our doors. And we continue to help them make baby steps when I know they need big leaps and bounds that I can't do for them, because we've got to change. We've got to change the world in a way, and how they think about families, how they think about education for young children. There's a lot of work, a lot of advocacy work, a lot of pressure that needs to be put on legislators to take this more seriously, to give it the kind of resources and support it needs, so we can really make differences in families in a more aggressive way.
My bigger hope for Educare is that we take what we've learned about serving families in challenging communities of poverty, and we transfer that knowledge and understanding to other places where I know that there are other people trying to do the same thing that we've been doing here in Educare.
We want peace, no more violence. We want peace, no more violence. We want peace, no more
When I see the Jaylens and the Jamals and the Crystals, I have hope. I see a group of young Afro-Americans focused and headed in a positive direction. I look at them as the future. Of course, there's going to still be a lot of challenges and obstacles, but they got a good start. They give me hope.
Jalen Rayford. I am the one and only Jalen Rayford, going to the big illustrious Tennessee State University.
My support system has made me get that self-motivation, which has made me want to succeed.
What keeps me going is to think positive throughout any circumstance. My hope is to see change.
And I still believe we will build